guest today is Dan Woodward, a pro wrestler who's just made a 4-year comeback into the sport of professional wrestling. He joins me today to talk about his journey. Dan, welcome to Cuppa TV.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Great to have you on the show, Dan. So, Dan, tell us, how did it all begin for you? Where did it all start?
Well, actually, a very young age. It was my brother, in fact, that actually got me into professional wrestling in the first stage. My earliest memory of watching it, I was about 5 or 6 years old. It was one of the old WWF pay-per-views back in the day, and there was always just one character which always stood out for me, which is Shawn Michaels. And yeah, ever since just watching him, he had the charisma, he had the talent, he was just the main man in the ring back in the mid-90s.
Yes.
And yeah, he's just...
I remember when I was a child, wrestling used to be on every Sunday. You
Oh,
always
yeah.
used to
World of
watch
Sport, yeah.
every Sunday. Do you think wrestling's sort of making a comeback now, Dan? Do you think we're more
Massively,
interested
actually,
into
yeah.
it?
I mean, when I first started, 10-something years ago, whenever it was, I feel that the UK indie scene was actually starting to build itself back up now. And obviously back then, TV wasn't as big as what it... it wasn't as open as what it is today, I should say, sorry. And what it is, back in the World of Sport days, obviously wrestling was absolutely huge. It was the main spectacle to watch back in the 70s, and I feel like it's definitely making a comeback today. It's like you'll go up and down the country, and any region you're in at the moment within the UK, there's always a guaranteed wrestling show happening within your area. You know, within a good 15-minute journey of you, no problem. There's always something going on.
Something
absolutely.
going on. So tell us, you really from a very young age then, Dan, really, that you got your
16,
interest.
yeah, 15,
so
16.
then what happened? What did you do? Did you join a gym and start, working out? Or how did it all begin?
Yeah, I started. Well, one of my friends from sixth form, he actually got in contact with me, and he told me about a wrestling training school, which was literally a half-an-hour walk from my house. Yeah. And I've always been a massive fan of it as a kid, and all through primary school, all through my breaks in primary school, I was always play wrestling in the schoolyard and whatnot. And I've always had a massive interest for it, so I just thought one day, why not? Let's just give it a go and see what happens. So I joined a wrestling school when I was 15. I was just turning 16 at the time, and it just all started from there.
Did you enjoy it when you went there?
Absolutely loved it.
Did you find that I was going to say, did you find that you kind of found your vocation, really?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, and it still is now, it's still a hobby, absolutely. I actually tried to make something of it later on, which we'll talk about in a bit. But at that point, it was definitely a hobby, and it just sparked something for me to do on the weekends. And then, I started training every Sunday.
Is it quite hard training, Dan?
Oh, absolutely. I just remember my very first training session, because it's when you learn how to take bumps, and it's called bumps, how you fall correctly so you don't injure yourself. I remember doing them all day on a Sunday afternoon training, and then I had sixth form the following day. Monday morning, 8 o'clock, when I woke up, I was just lying in bed, stiff. I couldn't move. But no, it's
because I mean, it's
really
it's a physical sport.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's a really strange sport. It's like there's no other sport in the world where you choose to throw yourself on the floor. It's really weird. But no, it really grasped me straight away. And within the first 3 months of myself training, I got put onto my first show. And I've never been so nervous in my life at all when I first did my first show. Like I was...
And how old were you, Dan, when that was happening?
I was 16. I just turned 16.
So very
I think
young. So you did very well
2006.
to have your first show, considering you only, just started training.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's just one of the things of it. Because I loved it so much, I just jumped straight onto it, and I just grasped what was needed. I mean, I was very basic at the time. I just did the very minimal. I mean, I remember when I first made my debut, my character was a very arrogant personality to himself, and loved himself. Hair always had to be slicked back. This was when I had long hair back in the day, and slicked my hair back and everything. I remember standing just before before the curtain, and my music started to play, and the butterflies in my stomach just exploded. I walked out, keeping in mind that my character was all cool, slick, you know, absolutely loved myself and all that. I just came out just shouting, "Ah!" and all that. I just lost it completely. But yeah, my very first opponent was a guy called Nicky Mace, and he had a lot of experience at the time, and he guided me through the match. And
there's quite a sense of camaraderie, I think, in wrestling. Would you agree with that? Everyone, I know there is this, you know, you have these battles and you all pretend to hate each other. But is there a sense of camaraderie within the sort of organisation?
Pro wrestling it's a show. It's something that you entertain the crowd with, and again, that's one thing which I love doing. I love entertaining people. And then to actually be working in a kind of industry where it's a very physical thing, but at the same time you're entertaining a crowd. You're working with your partner to get each other over. So the crowd boos the bad guy, the crowd cheers the good guy, and
so it's like a theatrical display, really.
Yeah,
isn't
it's a very violent soap opera sort
yes.
of thing. Yeah.
But I mean, the reality is that, and you have to train. You know, there's a lot of hard work that goes into making sure you can get to the ring. So, what was your fitness regime like?
Well,
What's
beforehand, before when I started, it's practically the same as what I'm doing today. Really, you eat properly. You try and cut out the cakes, which is quite tough at times. Try not to drink too much beer and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm at the gym at least 3 times a week, 4 times pushing it, and then I train once or twice a week now in an actual ring with a group in Tipton run by the Hunter brothers. Absolutely fantastic people.
So I
really
mean,
good.
because this is your comeback, Dan. So what happened? So you went to America, didn't you? Tell us.
That's right. Yeah, when I was
what did you do there?
When I was 18, I had a frame of mind of I want to go to America. I want to make it big.
And did you want to be a pro wrestler? Is that,
Absolutely.
You know, you wanted to.
I wanted to go to the big leagues. I wanted to make lots of money out of it, make a living, and yeah, I mean, I went to America when I was 18. I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and that was an experience. When I turned up there, I found out the location of the wrestling school was in a ghetto, which was very strange.
Yes.
I was meant to have been there for 5 weeks. I lasted 2 weeks. I mean, because I remember my very first training session on a Wednesday. The British style compared to the American style of wrestling it's the same, but it's quite different, if you get what I mean. Like, I actually really injured my right ankle on my very first training session, which really got to my heart, because I spent so much money and effort going over there, and I got injured on my very first training session over there. Wasn't the other guy's fault. It was just a misunderstanding sort of thing. He brought me into a hip toss. I didn't understand how close he was actually going to get into me from when I bounced off the ropes, and there was a bit of miscalculation. I went over. I didn't expect to go over so soon, and then my right leg went under my bum, and I sat on my ankle, completely bruised it. And then, but to be honest, that was the thing that I needed. Knowing nowadays what you've got to be, you've got to be big. You've got to be at least 6'5" to actually make something out of yourself.
Are they quite tall, a lot of the wrestlers?
Huge.
I mean, they look
Absolutely.
huge when we see them on the television, but are they, obviously you know, that, I mean, you're tall as well, Danny, but that is an important thing, is it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like you've got to look big. You've got to look bigger than the average person, and that's what a lot of the promotions want. You know, because it wouldn't look good if the average Joe, which is practically me now, really, if I just walked in and then someone in the crowd is sitting down thinking, well, I'm actually bigger than him.
Yes.
I should be in there instead.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you actually do want to make it to TV, you've got to be big. You've got to look empowering. You've got to have muscle, which I kind of lack as well, unfortunately. But
you're making a comeback, so that's good. You know, that all could be done at the gym. But what
absolutely, yeah.
But what about, so you're 18, you came back from America, and then what happened after that? Was that a disappointing experience for you,
Absolutely.
Dan?
I mean, I was still in college at that point. I was in my final couple of months of college, and I came back, I went straight up to my tutor, Dean, and I apologised profusely to him. I couldn't say sorry enough, but fair play to the guy. He just went down. Go and find yourself a computer. Go and sit down. You've chosen to actually go to university now. Let's do something like that instead. So I went and found a computer. Didn't know what I wanted to do at all. Then and then my tutor said to me, well, what was your favourite part in this course? I was doing a media production course at the time. And I went, well, making my final major project, if anything, it was making what would be a video games trailer. So he said to me, so video production then? And I went, well, actually, yeah, I think that's what I think that's what my passion is. And when I decided to do video production at university, that's when my passion for videography came about. And then I did a couple more years of wrestling every now and again, but because university was taking so much of my time,
did it kind of take a second place?
I couldn't really train as much as what I wanted to, and I kind of guess that my passion started to fall a tiny bit, kind of thing. And then I just said to myself one day, well, I think I just need to stop wrestling now, if anything, and I need to focus on my career. I mean, it's a fantastic hobby, but you need to balance it out.
And what about now, though,
really
Dan? Because obviously now you work for Big Centre TV.
Yeah,
you're here with us, and and you've had a really good career in the film industry and worked with some very good directors.
Absolutely,
haven't you? Who have you worked with?
A guy called Dom Higgins and his twin brother Ian Higgins. I was very fortunate to be a cameraman on one of their feature-length films called All That Remains, which is out very, very soon. And I learnt so much off of those guys. It was fantastic. It was such a good experience.
So that you've got that passion as well. But what makes you now say, right? This is your comeback. You've just had a show. Tell us about that. How did that go?
Yeah, actually, as of time of recording, last Friday, I made my 4-year return to the ring. A couple of months ago, the promoter Rob, who was actually on What's On a couple of weeks ago on our Big Centre TV, we actually had an in-character interview, which went really well. I was really happy with it, and yeah, he just texted me one day saying, I'm running my own show very soon. Do you fancy wrestling on it? And I was just, I think I gave it a week or two, and I was like, do I want to? I don't know. But then I spoke to my family, and my brother, if anything, and my best mates, and they were like, do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely do it.
And you've got a name, Dan. What's your name as a pro wrestler?
Yeah, my most recent character is called Bagwell.
Yeah.
I came up with the name, well, the character's a bully. It's something that I've always wanted to do, kind of thing, because I love playing the bad guy. Being the bad guy is it's so much more fun than being the fan favourite. I don't know what it is. I just love shouting at the crowd. It's great fun. And I came up with the character, this guy called Bagwell. First name Travis. Came up with the name of Travis from my favourite drummer, Travis Barker. And then Bagwell, who's my favourite character from my favourite TV series, Prison Break. Who was actually the main bad guy in that as well. So I just thought, okay, Travis Bagwell, let's put that together. Let's make a bully character, and let's see what happens from there.
So are you going to continue to wrestle now?
Absolutely. I mean, I did the show last Friday, which we got a bit of footage as well, and I had the time of my life. Absolutely. I worked with the promoter Rob, and I'm pretty sure that we basically tore the house down. It just went so well. That was one thing I was really nervous of actually forgetting a bit of the routine and whatnot. But working with Rob, he was top notch. We were constantly talking to each other, and
so you're going to go and do it again?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I know he's got a show coming up in.
Yeah, you've got a show in
14th
of November in Malvern. So you're going to be taking part in that?
Absolutely. I think we're going to be. I think myself and Joey Scott, which is his character name. We're going to have another rematch, and another fun thing of it is his mum actually got involved in the last match, so I'm sure the story's going to continue between myself, his mum, and Joey himself as well. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Well, I mean, it's such an interesting thing, and it's so good that you've taken your passion down and you're doing both things, which is great. So, wish you all the best, and thank you so much for joining me on Cuppa TV.
I appreciate you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're just going to take a quick break, but come back and join me in just a minute. To Cuppa TV. Now I'm joined by Adam from Operation Christmas Child, and as you're probably aware, Big Centre TV is supporting this fantastic charity, and he's here to give us an update. Adam, welcome back.
Hi.
It's great. We've got the boxes on the table. A very peculiar looking box. We'll talk about that in a minute, Adam. So again, great to see you. You've already been on and talked all about Operation Christmas Child, and of course Big Centre TV are supporting it, which is wonderful. Great, so how's it going? What's been happening?
Yeah, wow, it's going really well. We're still in the stage of getting boxes out to people, and then it crosses over in about 2 weeks' time. We then start collecting them, they're filled. But yeah, I've been to loads of schools, dropping off the not these ones, they look like that without the propellers. So I've been dropping those in, and then doing talks. I'll be doing a talk later on to the school here at 12 o'clock.
Excellent. So again, it's all about really just raising awareness, isn't it? And are the schools that you're talking to, Adam, are they engaging with it?
They are. It's everywhere I go, people love the project. It's just a matter of reminding and then doing a few updates, because there's certain things you can put in, like you could put in a solar-powered calculator, whereas sometimes the students will be thinking, well, maybe not electricals.
I hadn't thought about that.
It's just updating.
Yes, I'm giving new ideas to go into the boxes.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yes.
That's a good one, actually, isn't it? So what about wind-up radios?
Yeah, that's
Something
good.
Like that.
Yeah, wind-up radios. An amazing thing to put in that are really, really cheap. And now this sounds like an irony. Is a solar-powered torch. Now, don't get me wrong. You charge it during the day, and it shines at night. And you can get tiny ones. I wish I'd brought one. They're about that big.
Yes.
And they've got a little LED and a small solar panel, and it transforms not only a child's life but a family's life. Just that little light at night, maybe to be able to read.
Yes, just read or whatever. Yeah, just to see, just for safety.
Just a nip to the loo or nip down the road. You know, all those possibilities are opened up by
that we take for granted.
LED,
really.
And I think a lot of companies do them as giveaways, where you join up and they'll give you a free keyring with a solar torch.
Yes.
So,
that's great. Oh, that's brilliant. But you can't have any liquids, can you, in the boxes
at
liquids. All? So as long that pretty much is, that's just one of the things I know you can't put in there.
Yes.
But you've been collecting the boxes.
Yep.
We've been collecting them here at Big Centre TV, and you're giving your talks. But I wanted to talk to you about, because we spoke about Operation Christmas Child and what that actually is.
Yes.
But Samaritan's Purse is actually the charity where Operation Christmas Child comes under. So
exactly.
Tell me about that.
Right. Well, Operation Christmas Child is a project of Samaritan's Purse, and Samaritan's Purse is in the UK and international. So on a global scale, Samaritan's Purse run other projects. One of them is called Turn on the Tap, and there's another one called Raising Families. Those two projects start after the shoebox appeal. So you can imagine you make your contact through your local partners in the countries. You distribute the shoeboxes to kids that really need them. But then you've had that introduction. You can then start to ask the questions to the communities. How's it looking with your water and sanitation? And a lot of the time there are problems. And these water, sanitation, it's one of the main factors that keeps people in extreme poverty. Without water, you don't have your health, and you can't grow good crops.
We do take water for granted because we have clean, potable water that comes out of air taps. But of course, not everybody, and even in European countries, Adam, they don't have that facility. And I think, do you think we take it for granted?
I think we do. Yeah. I mean, I'd be shocked if I turned on the tap one day and there was nothing there, and I knew it was permanent. You start to worry, and it's a situation that a lot of children are in every day. They don't know where clean water is coming from. So that's one of the projects that Samaritan's Purse run as well as a shoebox appeal. The other one's raising families. That's particularly strong in Africa. And it's literally about going into a community and finding out what they need that's missing to help them get their way out of poverty. And I saw firsthand a really good example in Zimbabwe. So can I tell you about that one?
Do, tell me the story.
Well, in Zimbabwe, there's a small Samaritan's Purse office that's set up each year to do the admin for the shoebox distributions. And the people working there noticed there were, I think it was 13 teenage girls that were sleeping rough in that vicinity. So in those blocks of town, they were sleeping rough. They had no home. And they started thinking, you know, we need to do something about this to protect these children. And so what one of the, I'm trying to think one of the partners did is they started looking around at making a product. And it was a soap product where we get our washing up liquid and we just buy it from the shop. Well, they had the idea of getting bottles from a supplier, getting the different ingredients to make the washing up liquid, combining it, filling the bottles and then selling it. And it was very successful, so much so that they used the income from making that washing up liquid to pay for a small house, which is now the shelter for these kids.
How wonderful
Yeah.
is that? So again, just small things, and we've got some photographs.
I've got some photographs of that,
you know, which we're showing now to our viewers.
Yeah,
but it's a wonderful thing when it's just a small kindness, really, and a small project like that can have such a massive difference.
Yes.
Do you feel that that's what Operation Christmas Child is, Adam? It's a big project, because obviously it goes across the UK, but it's just a small thing that people can do that can have such an impact on somebody's life.
It's the start. I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, 60,000 shoebox gifts went out to Syrian refugees in the camps.
So 60,000.
60,000. And Samaritan's Purse have worked with UK government and other governments to deliver sanitation solutions and the flat pack accommodation and buildings, just to keep things going. Because when a disaster happens, like the Nepal situation, that's a disaster. But no one realises what the true disaster is. It's when sanitation fails. Within a couple of weeks, you have more people dying through hygiene problems than actually in the original disaster. For example, Samaritan's Purse went in there straight away. They got the sanitation systems in, drainage, portable buildings, latrines. Very quickly, they stopped the disaster becoming 10 times worse. They knocked it in its tracks. But you don't see that because it goes off the news.
That's right, and because sickness and diarrhea can kill. You know, if you're malnourished anyway, it's a terrible thing, and especially when you haven't got, as you say, got the running water and the sanitation. And do you think Samaritan's Purse are? I mean, they've been around for how long? How many years have Samaritan's Purse been?
In the UK, Operation Christmas Child has been running since 1990, but Samaritans, I don't actually know the exact date, but it's Samaritan's Purse work hand in hand with the Billy Graham Evangelistic Society, and so I believe he's been going 30 years. But I don't know Samaritan's Purse itself.
But it's an organisation that people perhaps don't know too much about. But when you have Operation Christmas Child, it then brings more people to support them.
It does. It's a very public project, Operation Christmas Child. But it's a bit like an iceberg where we see the surface work going on.
So we see the boxes as we've got here and what goes in them, but we don't see what happens after that.
There's a lot going on, and that's why I'm a part of it, because I believe as a charity it's ticking all the boxes, and it's really delivering vital help to people that need it.
Now tell us about this helicopter-looking Christmas Child box that I have on my table.
Okay, well, I've seen some unusual shoeboxes.
Very innovative, I say.
And just to have a bit of fun when going to schools to collect. You know, why send a shoebox through through the normal channels when you can fly it there? So what that is a shoebox that can fly under its own power.
Wonderful.
Well, obviously it won't go across the world, but it's just a bit of fun.
But it's just a bit of fun.
Just to raise awareness.
Absolutely. And again, we've got a little video that we're going to show to show. But again, it just is a way of engaging, really, engaging with the people, engaging with children, particularly would like that. And again, just to be a bit innovative, really. That's what you've said.
Innovation, and we saw innovation several years ago when plastic shoeboxes started coming in, and they're actually very useful. So you can use a normal shoebox, But you can also get plastic rectangular containers, like sometimes they're CD holders and stuff. And if you use that as a shoebox, then the child has something that they have that's more durable.
So you can use those. If somebody wanted to use those, you could actually use those.
Yes.
And also you've got your own shoeboxes that Operation Christmas Child have now produced.
That's right.
Where can people get those?
Those, if you want individual ones, Big Centre TV reception, and certain Shoe Zone stores have them as part of an outreach. If you want them in larger quantities, you can buy them because they cost a lot of money to produce. They're sold, and they're sold in 50s and 100s on the Entertainer toy store.
Right.
So if you want to do lots for the school,
so you can go onto their website and then you can purchase them. Because shoeboxes, again, it's a thing where we always used to have shoes in shoeboxes, but now a lot of outlets they actually take the shoeboxes away and you can't actually get them. Yes. So that's a really. Was that why they came up with that idea? Because they suddenly realised
it is, and they're also a standardised size because you can get 12 of this type of shoebox in a carton for distribution. Whereas with other shoeboxes, you can get between 8 and 14.
Yes, because they could be all sorts of shapes and sizes.
So it just makes it very efficient. And so I always say, if you're going to do a shoebox gift, make it roughly that standard size, and it just helps with logistics later on.
The other side.
They still get the big
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And when you're working in the warehouses, Adam, what's the? I mean, I should imagine they're sort of gearing up now, aren't they?
They are. This is what's happening.
So tell us what happens in the warehouses.
Right, in the warehouses, loads of lanes get set up. There's a Solihull and a Walsall warehouse, and there's other ones in Birmingham. There's quite a few. And the idea is you set up lanes. The lanes are generally for age groups. So as the shoe boxes come in, which is what will happen in the next week or so.
Yes, they come in on the lorry.
They come in on the lorry. And then they're sorted into lanes of boy, girl, and the age groups, 2 to 4, 4 to 9, etc. And then they just go along and the volunteers just check to make sure everything's safe.
So they don't take anything out, do they? No, they just check to make sure they haven't got any liquids in and make sure there's no sharp objects, I imagine. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. And no war-related toys as well.
Yes, that's right. Yes, you said about that.
And then they go along. Sometimes they're topped up. They're never... It's called respecting the gift, so we don't take things out. But what we'll do is top up.
So if something, it doesn't look quite
full. Say someone hasn't put a toothpaste in and they've got a spare one, then
you can put that in. Excellent.
And local companies, obviously, when they want to help, they'll provide tubs of things. So like there could be a tub of toothpaste, a tub of soaps, pens, and those will all be on the checking line. And so if anything's missing, it can get put in.
Wonderful. And then obviously they get sent out.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to see you, and good luck with that lovely flying box. That looks amazing. And come back again and join us and let us know how you're getting on. All right, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's it. We're going to take a quick break, but stay with us and we'll come back in just a minute. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. My next guest is Lynn Slim, a lady who has had positive experiences with the paranormal. So Lynn, thank you so much for joining me on Cuppa TV.
Thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful to be here. And Sandra, we've been talking, the whole show's been about ghosts and paranormal, but Lynn, you've had good experiences. We've just heard about Louise's experiences, but tell us a little bit about what you've been experiencing.
My experience started just over 11 years ago. I came home and unfortunately I found my husband had died very unexpectedly, and it was like my world had just dropped out the bottom of it. It was just, my whole world had gone completely. But my friend, his mum was a medium, and she ran a spiritualist church in Smethwick, and she invited me to come along to one of the services about 3 weeks after my husband had passed. I'd always been a believer, so I went along and I sat there, and this medium came on and started to give people messages, and I was very lucky that I received a message. But what it gave me was so much information that nobody knew. There was things that only me and my husband could possibly know. She told me about a letter that I'd written him, and I put it into his jacket pocket before he was buried. She told me that I put 2 pictures in there. She told me the contents of the letter. Nobody knew the contents of that letter because I was in the house on my own when I wrote it and put it into his jacket pocket. But she gave me so many memories, and she gave me the feelings of hope because I knew he'd survived and I knew that he'd gone to a different dimension. And although I was going through excruciating pain, it gave me a light at the end of the tunnel.
So it made you believe, is that what
It did make me believe I could not, because the information I was given was so accurate that nobody could have known.
And again, for viewers that are watching who are just going to say, there must have been a way that she could have found out that information, did you think that as well? Were you a bit sceptic, or how did you feel?
No, I wasn't a sceptic at all, because I didn't know who was going to be on that evening, and the medium doesn't know who's going to walk through the doors. I'd never met the medium that night.
So, I mean, Sandra, what do you say about that?
I have to admit, I was the medium.
I thought you might have been.
I mean, I was the medium, and I'd never met Lynn before. I didn't know Lynn. I was just doing a service. I was doing an evening of clairvoyance, and I just happened to go to Lynn and just give her the message. And you know, that is the upside of mediumship, and mediumship is very, very much proof to the person. It's what matters here. When somebody says, I mean, I didn't realise at the time that she was alone, but, you know, he gave me those. Why did he give me so much? I mean, he was a very good communicator, so he'd only been gone 3 weeks. He came through with such strength because there was so much love there between the two of them. And he just wanted to give her the strength just to keep her going. I mean, I remember looking at her thinking, I don't think she's going to make this. I remember feeling that at the time, that she wasn't going to make it because the pain was so devastating he was showing me. And that's the upside of mediumship. It's about you receiving something that tells you that that is your mum, your dad, your husband, your child. You know here in your heart.
And did that change your life? Just having that person
sitting
talk?
there, sitting there for and having that message for 10 minutes. And I watched and I listened to all the other information that she was giving to other people, so mine wasn't just a fluke, because the information that she was giving to everybody else was very accurate. And as I watched her, I thought, I didn't get the chance to say goodbye to my husband, so I thought, well, if she can talk to him, then so can I. And I thought, well, if she can do it, so can I, but I'm going to be better than her. So you have to give yourself a goal, don't you? Yeah, you have to give yourself a goal. So that's from that evening, that's what I did. I went out that evening uplifted, but then I went home and thought, right, how am I going to do this? So I sort of sat down and researched, well, how can I do this? And the first thing I had to do was learn how to meditate.
And is that how it stems, all from meditation?
Meditation is the quietening of the mind. I would say, how can you receive if your mind never shuts up? It's not the mobile phone. If you're on the phone, I can't get through. So what you've got to do is quieten the mind so that you can receive the communication, because otherwise your mind's going, never put that note down, forgot to do so-and-so, note to self, don't use this route again in the car, I'll just give so-and-so a quick ring, bang, 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 bang. And that's why people often have experiences in the night. Because your mind's quiet. They can actually get through.
Still.
You've shut up. You've shut up, the world can reach you. Yes. It's not a case of they're going to frighten you, it's just a case of they're sitting there and they'll wait for that time for you to be quiet, and that's when they'll communicate with you.
And you're now a medium, Lynn?
Yes, I decided to meditate. It wasn't my intention to be a medium. I just wanted to talk to my husband. So once I mastered the meditation, and I could hold it for 15 minutes without the mind jumping in saying, oh, you need bread tomorrow, or you need milk. And my guide walked in, and I saw him as clear as day, and he was a little Chinese man, and his name is Zen. And we went on many, many, many journeys after that point, but he made me promise that I would sit and meditate every day for half an hour, and I did that religiously for 5 years.
Really? And how did that make you feel better about yourself and how you viewed life, and obviously to get over the harrowing experience of losing your husband?
It did, because I was being taken on a journey, and most of the time at the end of the meditation session, my husband would be standing there waiting for me, so I would get that 2 or 3 minutes just to be able to talk to him and communicate with him.
And Sandra, would you say that happens a lot, for people that have come to you? Do they want to explore it themselves after they've been to you?
I think she's a little unique.
Yeah.
I think she's a little different to most people. But what people will do is they will search, and it will give such joy just to know. I mean, I remember, and I was a medium then myself, or starting on my pathway. I remember when my mum died 17 years ago and thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. Does that mean I'm never going to see her again? Is that doorway shut, the person who was my mum? Am I never going to be able to communicate with her again, ever? And it's just that feeling of it's just the end, isn't it? Just the finality. But it isn't. It isn't the end of it. And I think Lynn is very unique. But lots of people do through paying. They'll go to the Spiritualist Church, they'll go to the Christian Spiritualist Church or the SNU Church, and they'll find such comfort and joy that they will then start to try to work to give something back to what that church has given them.
So again, it's got nothing to do with religion, would you say, Lynn? It's whether you're a believer or a non-believer. No. It's all to do with what? How would you sort of put it?
It wasn't religion. It's part of your spiritual pathway, and that's what it was for me. That was the beginning. It's like one doorway closed, but another doorway opened, and that put me on my spiritual pathway.
And do you help other people now? Do you do the same?
I do. Unfortunately, the spirit world are very, very clever at once they've got you hooked. I do spiritualist churches. I do. Go out ghost busting, as we call it, into properties. I'm a Reiki healer, so I give a lot back. I teach in the church where I was given that original message, so that I can give something back to the church that gave me so much for so very long.
And has it changed your life?
Oh, completely and utterly. Completely and utterly. That life, when I walked through that door, when my husband passed, that doorway closed, but walking into that church 3 weeks later opened the doorway for me and has given me a completely different life.
And do you feel, I mean, we were speaking with Sandra, do you feel that more people are becoming interested now in the paranormal and if you like, life after death, for want of a better word?
I think there's been a great awakening around the planet, and people want to know more, I think.
Why do you think that is?
It's just a spiritual progression for all of us.
It has to change, doesn't it?
We have to be enlightened.
We can't carry on abusing the planet and annihilating the planet. There has to be an awakening. There has to be a point when we have to move beyond technology, and then we have to stop and think, this is a planet we're living on here. What's going to be here for our children? Plastic? Yes, is it a plastic planet? Is all we're going to leave, and our grandchildren and their grandchildren? Or are we going to nurture this planet? Are we going to be in touch with this planet? And are we going to leave something, something, a heritage to be proud of, rather than something to think, my goodness, look what we did, look how we decimated the land.
I mean, you've written a book, haven't you? Tell us about your book, Sandra. Did you write that out of just all working with somebody like Lynn and just your experiences with Louise as well? Is that how it came about?
I started writing the book because I've gone and helped people for about 14, 15, 16 years, and I never wrote a book. And my husband used to say to me, do you know, Sandra, people are going to want to hear these stories. Write them down. And I wrote all these stories down. And it must be 3 or 4 years ago, Llewellyn's, which is the biggest esoteric book publisher in the world and the oldest in America, took an interest in it. So there are 32 stories in this book, and there are some where Lynn have gone with me, and some, Linda Elstob used to come out with me a lot as another medium, and Martin Morsley and Karen Morsley. I've gone out with quite a few other mediums, and it's just a collection of all these different stories, including a section on psychic children, just like Louise was talking.
Just like Louise was talking about earlier.
Yes.
And do you find that, as mediums, when you get together, how is it? Do you find you've got that sort of common thread? Is that what links you together, or do you how does it work? Do you work together?
Yes, we work together.
Tell us about that. So what have you been working on together?
We go out and we do clear properties of negative energies, or we'll help lost souls go over. But we work as a team. But that's, I really enjoy going out and working for the light and sending the darkness back over to where the dimension that they belong in. It's not right that people are terrorised in their own homes, and it's good that we can go back and combat these and send them back to where they really do belong.
Would you agree with that, Sandra? It's a main sort of aim, if you like, of the medium to send back the bad. and bring in the good.
It is. We meditate together. This sounds,
yes.
a night out. Oh, let's meditate. But I still sit in development circle now after all these years because I still want to continue to move on. And I've got a group of mediums. We're friends together, and we sit together usually once a fortnight and just bring in the light and just and just tune in and put positive energy around the world. And it sounds
because between you all work in different ways. Even though you're a medium, surely it must be quite unique. Is that right?
It is. We do all work in different ways. Lynn and I go the extra mile. We do sometimes. We'll go out and just put some positive energy through the planet. But I will always help somebody who is being tormented. Monica, it's so hard. How do you go to somebody and saying, I can't protect my family, that we are being tormented by a ghost? And people, you will get loads of people, I'm sure, complain about this programme. Ghosts don't exist, it's all in your mind, it's a load of rubbish, it's in your imagination. You try sitting there when your lights are going on and off. Your lights are going on and off, and there's a scream penetrating through your house, and your children are crying, "Mummy, mummy, help me, help me," and to say there's not a problem there.
It's very as you say. There's always different opinions, isn't there? Some people, as you say, are going to think this is just a load of rubbish. Other people are going to say, well, actually, these experiences have happened to me. What would you say, Lynn, to the viewers that are watching?
You can't comment until you've experienced it, but I would ask you to have an open mind, because there's more to this world than just the physical and the 3D.
And what about Halloween itself? We were speaking to Sandra about Halloween. I've got my pumpkin here beside me today, but this is sort of how we've dressed today is how we perceive Halloween to be. But what's your perception of it?
Being a medium and being at work, people will always say to me, "Oh, this is your busy time of year because it's Halloween, and where's your broomstick?" Yeah,
I have one.
Yeah. She does actually have a broomstick. It's
true.
It's very true, but that's just people's perception. It's how they've been taught as they've grown up as a child, isn't it? If you just look at it, to me, I think it's very commercialised. It's just a materialistic thing to put money in the till.
Yes, and as you were saying then, Sandra, it's really the spirits are around all the time.
Yep.
Yes.
They don't have to come out at Halloween.
They're 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do they, when you're working, do you find sometimes, have you been in any cases where you've had quite, maybe not a tragic, but someone when you've been compelled to speak to, but maybe haven't even approached you? Has that ever happened to you?
Sometimes you can pick up on these things. You get drawn. I can't tell you how I get drawn, but sometimes you can look at someone and something draws you to it. Sometimes they change the light around them, but that's just how my guide works with me, and then you know that you've got to go and speak to them, but I don't know why until you actually start holding a conversation.
Do you the same, Sandra, as well?
It's very difficult to just approach people and just go up and say that.
Hello.
And
I've got your grandstanding behind you. Yeah.
I always remember being on the 525 Birmingham to Euston with my grandson alongside me, and this woman saying to me, "That's my granddaughter opposite," and me saying in my head, "If you think on the 525 Birmingham to Euston on a Friday night, I'm going to lean over and tap this girl and say to her, 'Your grandmother's here.' No." And I've always said to them, "You give me a sign and I will do it. You show me a way and I will do it." And I've even had bank managers who've said, "Hello, pleased to meet you. Sorry, I'm a bit upset today. It's the anniversary of," and people always say to me, "I don't know why I'm telling you this." And I go, "I do." And I could write a whole chapter in a book about the way that people have just come up to me and they've said, "I don't even know why I'm saying it to you." And I go, "I do, I'm a medium." And they go, "You're joking me." And they'll just start telling me. I've had people in banks, airports, airport security. I've had people at work who don't know what I do when I used to work in the hospital. I've had people from all walks of life.
Complete strangers.
Just complete strangers in shops start talking to me.
Have you had the same?
Yeah. They just get drawn. What it is, it's a spirit world.
It's just drawing them in.
Pushing them towards you, just so you can give them, and even if it's just for a minute, just to give them that wonderful energy that they want to give to them, to give them that spark, that hope, that everything's fine, everything's going to be fine, just hang in there.
And how do you see the future, Sandra, for you and for you, Lynn, as mediums? Do you feel that as we've said, people are more in tune now with what's happening, and they want perhaps to seek different views, different opinions and things. How do you see the future for you?
I mean, I think I shall always be in work because people are always going to need that help and that guidance. I have a continuous supply of customers.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'd rather not.
Yes.
But yes, I mean, there is such a great awakening. For a long time, I didn't teach, but I've started teaching people, doing workshops. People want to wake up. They want to, and usually the driving force, why do they want to wake up? Because they want to help others. They're not just driven, they're not just driven for self-motivation, what can I get out of this, is they want to help others, they want to know more, they want to be able to help their children, they want to, and funny enough is that one of Louise's children, Ben, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, started to come to Lynn's class because he wanted to learn, to understand what had happened. He's in his 20s, I don't think I'm taking a child in. He wanted to understand what had happened to his family and to learn how he could help and protect his children if this happens again, and how he could help others.
So it goes back to what you were saying, if you haven't experienced it, then, but because he'd experienced it obviously with Louise, then he wanted to try and learn more about it and find out. And would you say the same, Lynn, when people, your future, people are going to come to you, how do you see it? Is there anything else you think you could do as a medium?
I think it's just coaching people, teaching them. I do teach a development circle, and you get more and more people, and they come from all walks of life. From all walks of life. Something sparks inside them, and then they want to learn a little bit more and a little bit more, and you've got people that sitting in that circle and have sat with me for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years, so they just want to move further on down that pathway, but they want to learn, but they want to be able to make that connection with their guide and spirit.
So can anyone, I'm going to ask you this question, Andrea, can anyone become a medium?
Anybody can develop their psychic gift, their psychic ability, that they can talk to their guides, that they can make a communication, they can talk to their loved ones, which is what Lynn did at the start. I'm not saying everybody, and they can't, can become a medium who can stand on a platform, and that's very, very different. But as regards to develop yourself, your own personal development, that is open to anybody. You are born psychic. You came down here psychic. You lose it as you get older. Usually it's after 7, your magic friend goes, you no longer believe in fairies, you don't longer believe in goblins and angels and the magic world, and suddenly you lose all that. And then you become so entrenched in this world it goes. But it's there. It's just a case of tuning it in. It's like a radio station, is that you're not quite in tune with it. All you have to do is retune back what you were born with.
Excellent. Well, it's been fascinating to speak to you both. Thank you so much. And you're going to have to come and join us again for
Thank you very
show.
much.
But it's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So that's
Thank
it
you.
for today's show. Thank you to my guests, Andrea, Louise and Lynn. And if you would like to get in touch with us here at Cuppa TV, you can join us on Facebook or Twitter at Big Centre TV. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching this Cuppa TV Halloween special. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.